My name is Nkhamenya, and I'm the regional coordinator for Malawi Scotland Partnership, and I'm going to be your host today. So I'm going to quickly run through the purpose of this meeting and also set in some rules with the chat box. And I'm also going to be introducing my co-host because this meeting is going to be hosted by the Masp and SMP offices. All right, so welcome to the Youth and Schools Forum, which is themed Youth Voice and Future Thoughts. So the purpose of this meeting is to learn from each other and open a dialogue live between our two countries. And we're also trying to pave a way forward together for the next academic and youth work year. Another thing that we're trying to do with this meeting is hear spotlighted perspectives of young people, youth leaders, and teachers in both countries, Malawi and Scotland. And lastly, what we're also trying to do is engage in breakout discussion groups themed to your interests. We had that in the event, right? So the themes that we're going to be talking about are the things that you indicated that you're interested to hear from this meeting. So I'm very excited to have you all here. As in regards to the chat box, I would like to ask you all to please introduce yourselves in the chat box, your name, where you are, and yeah, if you can also share your email address, that would be good. So as I said, I'm not hosting this alone. I have my two co-hosts. There's Ruth Malua. Ruth, if you can just say hi.
Hi everyone, I'm Ruth Malua. I'll be joining Nkhamenya with the hosting today.
All right, great. And I also have Louisa. Louisa, if you could just say hi.
Hello, very, very happy to be a co-host amongst the wonderful Masp as well.
Awesome. So I just wanted to let you all know that this session is being recorded, including the chat box. So all information that will be shared is going to be shared with the attendees. And also make sure that you are on mute if you're not speaking. And let's all try to act with responsibility and respect as if we're in a public place. So I just also wanted to let you all know that this is a very safe space to share your views and listen to each other without judgment, without any harm so yeah, there's no harm intended. So please do feel free to share your views. You're not going to be judged here. Yeah, so at this moment, I think we're done with the introductions, and I'll give the floor to Louisa now to speak on to introduce the youth presentations. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Nkhamenya. We were just joking yesterday that Nkhemenya's been hosting so many Zoom calls recently that he's got his spiel down, so it was sounding perfect. Well done. And I'm particularly loving that we're having a bit of a competition with our backgrounds recently. It's been really fun working with Masp recently to pull this event together. We'll just do a really quick screen share of the agenda. It's a little bit wordy, but we'll just show you very quickly if Craig's over to bring that up. So we're starting off the event today with some youth presentations from both Scotland and Malawi. Very, very excited to share information there. We've got a couple of breakout groups discussing sustainability and partnership expectations, as well as funding some of the more core questions around partnership in the future. And last but not least, hearing from the all important school and youth leaders later on. So without further ado, I'm very, very excited to call up to the stage. We'll go with Malawi first. We have got the wonderful Stephen Milosi, I really hope I pronounced it perfectly. We were rehearsing this. If you would like to unmute yourself, and we are very happy to hear from you. This is Stephen from Zomba Catholic Secondary School, who is a sponsored student from Beath High School through Njale. So Stephen, please take the floor. Very excited to hear from you.
Me too, I'm very happy. Me too, I'm very happy with you as well. As a student of Zomba Catholic, we have benefited a lot from this partnership, as we are able to share knowledge between Malawi, the students from Malawi and the Scotland. This partnership also helped some Malawian students to continue with their education, as they cannot manage maybe to afford to, as they cannot manage to pay school fees. As such, they are able to achieve their goals. As we have benefited a lot, but we have some challenges, like language barrier. Some of us we were not able to communicate to you because of the language, which is English. You are able to communicate to us in English because English is your mother language, and we normally speak Njale as our mother language. Another issue, another challenge is about the African mindset towards the whites. They think that the whites are rich. So I am begging you continue with this partnership, so that most of us we can be able to achieve our goals. And we should continue to provide bursaries and loans to the Malawians, so that they will have ability to achieve their goals as well. As most challenge, as a big challenge we meet as the Malawians is money. Most of the Malawians are poor, so they are able to pay school fees for their children to achieve their goals. Yeah, that is what I have to represent this in this partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Peter. It's as Ruth was saying to me earlier in the week, this is the first time we are having pupil voice direct on a Youth in Schools forum, and it's been really wonderful to hear everything you had to say there. To match you, we have Rachel and Max from our own youth committee here to speak today. Rachel and Max, if you'd like to turn your cameras on if you can, and we'd like to. Rachel and Max have both been involved in school partnerships when they were a bit younger, and they are both students at university now, and they've very kindly agreed to be part of this meeting today to reflect on their thoughts about school partnerships. So Rachel and Max, I can see you both. Perfect. Okie dokie. So I've got basically 5 questions that I'm gonna ask Rachel and Max to run through, and if you just both want to answer one after each other, maybe Max then Rachel each time, and we'll just gather your thoughts there. So first of all, just could you just both give us a one-liner or two-liner about what your school partnership was like? How was it set up? What was it? What did I say? Max, then Rachel. Off you go.
Hi, I'm Max. My school partnership was set up in Girloff, up north in the Highlands of Scotland. We are partnered up with a school in Milosi, in the Densa district. It worked originally, I think it was, can't remember the name of our organisation, but they were Scotland Malawi partnership helped find a school, and then the funding was put in, and then the funding was pulled in 2010, and then after that, from 2010 to about 2018, the project was self-sufficient within the community and the community of Malawi.
My school partnership was in high school too, and we had our link since like 2007, 2008, and yeah, our high school was in the Dedza district of Malawi as well.
Excellent. Thank you both, Max and Rachel. So why did you get involved in your partnerships? What drew you in to that at school?
It was something that seemed quite interesting. You know, it's, for me personally, it was the opportunity to learn about a different country and a different culture, and I like traveling, I like other countries, so I thought that's what kind of pulled me towards it.
Yeah, I was pretty much the same as Max. I always had an interest in learning about like how other people live and like their lifestyles and having a better understanding of other cultures. So that's why I got involved as well.
Fantastic, similar reasons there. And what was the best part of your overall experience of the school partnership for both of you?
Personally, for me, it would have to be the visits. I went on my mother was a teacher at the school, so we went on a private visit ourselves in 2014, and then I was lucky enough to go with the school in 2017 on 2 separate visits, and those were just the best, because I think personally it's the best way to experience this other culture, to meet the people, to understand how, you know, different how a different culture on the other side of the world does, and it's fascinating. I've learned a lot personally from it.
I think for me, the best part for me was all the people that I got to meet because of it, like whether it was teachers or other peoples. And like when we were in Malawi, like the people in the villages, and like even here in Scotland, like the youth, like just even in the other members of the youth committee and like some of the climate leaders, and just hearing their stories and their links and their connections. So yeah, probably just the common interest between everyone and hearing everyone's stories.
Perfect. And was it always kind of about the visits, or was there something else? Was, you know, the virtual connection, pen pal, letter writing, were those sorts of things, were they equally as valuable?
To get everyone involved, I think the pen pals was a really good project, because, you know, it's easy to get everyone to write a letter and you build a personal connection with this person on the other side of the world, and that's what we did a lot of. We also did, I think it was a John Muir Award. We both did that with pupils in Malawi and Scotland, so they both got this award, so that was quite interesting.
I think like for me, like the pen pals was definitely a big thing of it, and like I was lucky enough that the pen pal that I got paired up with like had really similar interests as me, and like she wanted to go to university to do the exact same degree as me that like I am now studying, and yeah, like we've been able to keep that connection going like through social media and emails and things like that, which is really good. So like even though now we've both left school, we are still able to keep that connection.
That's fascinating. That's really interesting to sort of, you know, connect to young people and sort of getting to follow their life journey together from such a young age. It's something really special. And I know, Rachel, you were mentioning about how it's really worth putting in the effort to try and get really good matches between young people with similar interests as well across the 2 countries. Now we've done the positive stuff. What do you think could have been done better in either of your school partnerships? Any improvements?
From my school, from the kind of Western perspective, more the understanding of how important these little things are to these, like the Malawians. because our school, people some kids saw it as a chore, and it was a bit of an issue to like get the letter writing done. That was a big issue. That was kind of more, for some kids it was, you know, something they were forced to do, but majority they enjoyed it. But, you know, that kind of understanding of it. Furthermore, going on to trips, selection of pupils on trips needs to be done very, very well, because, you know, when you're stuck with 8 people for, what's it, 2-3 weeks, you need to do it right. And if you know, you don't want to end up falling out with people because, you know, X, Y, and Z. Yeah, you need to be careful of that. That's one thing I would say.
I agree with everything. I kind of have to second everything Max said. And also, I think kind of maybe more like how like sort of our partnership worked is maybe just kind of having like letting the young people speak and have a bit of a say on like what they want to do like within their partnership and like their connection, because like at the end of the day, like you're trying to connect pupils together, and if you're not letting the pupils have a say in it, then that's when it breaks down, because then if they can't have their interests and their opinions heard, I think that can be like really like debilitating for young people. And yeah, just again, like having the common interests, I think is really important when, like, if you're doing pen pals, to connect people that way. I think that's really quite a key thing to have. And again, just like making sure that like everybody, if you are going on a trip, or even just having a pen, like even just as a pen pal or being involved in the partnership in any way, shape or form, it's having that appreciation and having that understanding and sort of like even just a mutual level of respect between the two, I think is really important.
Fantastic, really, really interesting answers from both of you there, having had the experience yourself. A final comment from you both. What has been the lasting effect of your partnership on you as a person?
For me personally, it's kind of driven me forward in what I wanted to do. I studied politics and social policy in my 4th year, and it kind of influenced me a lot, you know, in that kind of age where you're forming with what you want to do with your life, and looking at Malawi and looking at, you know, the way the government's formed and why has this country not developed the same as Scotland when you've got the same resources behind it. And it's kind of pushed me forward into this kind of field of study. And it's like one of the classes I'm just studying at the moment is government and development, and Malawi's our case study of why has this kind of democratic state got these issues of development compared to Western countries. And that's what the question we're asking. And it's fascinating. That's kind of what's driven me. It's kind of a career I want to pursue after this now, personally.
I think like for me it's probably like I developed a lot of skills that I probably wouldn't have had I not been involved in the school partnership. And I think like just like me as a person has a better like understanding and appreciation for other cultures, like sort of understand like how other people live, and like it's definitely opened up like my mindset and the way that I view and look at different things. And I think like a lot of it, I think I've got a lot more resilience as well that I maybe wouldn't have otherwise had. And I mean, sort of similar to Max as well. I mean, like I always knew I wanted to do journalism, but now I sort of know like what kind of journalism I want to do, and like kind of sort of like being able to use the people that I met there and being able to take that further in all sorts of different aspects.
Great, thank you so much, both of you. It's been the first time we've given such a great spotlight to youth voices in the Youth in Schools Forum, so I'm so pleased to have you both here. So that's it for our youth section. Thank you so much to all the young people, including the wonderful Stephen from Zomba Catholic Secondary School as well. I'll now pass over to the lovely Ruth from Masp to introduce the next section.
Hi everyone. So we're going to have breakout sessions where we're going to discuss about sustainability and moving forward with COVID, as well as managing expectations. But let me also just mention before we go to the breakout sessions that when we come back, we should remember to type up the discussion in the chat box, because we might not have the recording from the breakout sessions. So I'll just give a few questions that are going to help us start the discussions in the groups that we're going into. The first question that is there is we want to understand what everybody else understands with what makes a sustainable partnership, because I think we have different understandings between the partnerships from Malawi and the partnership from Scotland. So we want to have an idea of both perspectives from both countries. The second question is on what expectations can kill a partnerships, because looking at the past partnerships that we've had before, we've noticed that some partnerships just die out of expectations. Maybe the expectations were wrong, or the other school maybe thought it was too much. So what are the expectations that can possibly kill partnership, and what could be the ways that we can manage these expectations before it gets to an extent where the partnership is not functional anymore? And the last question on this segment is on COVID-19. How has COVID affected the partnerships, and how can we positively move ahead while working against the pandemic and still making sure that our partnerships are still functional? So at this point, Louisa, we can go into the breakout sessions and we'll come back in 10 minutes and we'll share what we have in the chat box. Thank you. Welcome back from the breakout sessions. So if you can just write the discussions that you had in the chat box, and we can continue on to the next session where we listen to educators' presentations. On to you, Louisa.
All right, Ruth, it's actually, I'm actually going to be the one who's leading on that. So we're going to, yeah. Okay, so we're going to be having presentations from educators both in Malawi and in Scotland. And we're going to start with Scotland. Fraser Boyd of the Stirling 25th of Dunblane Boys Brigade, which is partnered with the Likhubula region in Malawi. Fraser, you can take the floor.
Thank you, Nkhamenya. Thanks for the introduction. My name's Fraser Boyd. I am in charge of the Boys Brigade. If you don't know what that is, it's a uniform youth organisation that's linked with the church. It's been around for 138 years. Yesterday was our organisation's birthday. We are part of quite an ongoing partnership, the Dunblane Likhubula partnership, which has been going for 14 years with Likhubula in Malawi province. And back in, I guess, 2014, we started hearing about another Boys Brigade company from Strathkelvin area who had teamed up with Classrooms for Malawi and had taken some of their, a small team of guys out to work on a school there that they had a partnership with. And we decided to try and do something similar along with the existing partnership between the two communities. So that partnership involves the high school, it involves the churches, it involves the Rotary. So it's quite a wide-ranging partnership with a lot of community links between the different organisations. I guess one of the biggest things for us was getting used to the idea that to have a project where the main aim, I guess, was to take young people from Scotland to Malawi and to really give them the experience that would hopefully be a really life-changing thing, and to improve and change attitudes about lots of different aspects that they would learn whilst there and in the process of getting there. A huge part of what we had to do, of course, was to fundraise, but also to team build in the approximately 11 months that we did from deciding that we would go to actually getting our feet on the ground in Malawi. Part of that was making it fun and making it something that people could really build up some skills in the fundraising part of it. So we had a lot of events, a burn supper, we had car washing, we had bingo nights, we had making soup and sweet lunches after church, we had even some somewhat social media famous flamingos, which were planted in people's gardens all around Dunblane for bribery money to come and take them away. But a lot of that really built up a great team that we ended up with 17 boys and half a dozen adults out to Malawi in the summer of 2016 with the main purpose that we would help to refurbish classrooms in Nansato and Pasani primary schools in Likhubula, which we did over being there for a couple of weeks. And as well as the painting, which was, I guess, the main job, which we did in partnership with local tradesmen. We wanted to really represent the community of Dunblane and make a link between the different organisations. So I was saying in the breakout room that one of the most powerful things that we've done on both trips is we had a meeting with the bursars who are supported by the high school that most of the boys went to, a lunch together, meeting a very inspiring woman named Nancy who runs a restaurant that empowers local women and employs them as well. And really, I guess the most powerful thing, engaging with the kids in the schools who were fascinated by us painting their classrooms and putting new displays on the walls and the windows and things, and really, because the money that we'd raised had paid for improvements to things like just the floors, the window bars were taken out and to let more light in and things like that. There was a real sense of appreciation of the work that was being done. I wasn't in charge of either of the two times that we went. I was kind of there as a member of the staff team and whatnot, but there were times where I was questioning what we were doing, the way we were doing it, and wanted to make a few changes if we were going to do it again. We knew it wasn't going to be something we would do every year. We would be dead on our feet with the amount of effort they put in. But when we decided to take another 3 year groups worth of boys in 2019, there were things that we wanted to make sure were a wee bit different. We still had to raise a huge amount of money. And again, all the fun of that was still there. It was hectic, but we knew that when we went, that we wanted not just to meet the people who were the peers of our boys in the same age, just for a lunch and an afternoon of exchanging stories and whatnot. But this time we got them a lot more involved in this time we were building as well as painting and refurbishing. And we also knew that actually a lot of the Malawian kids were far more adept than us at some of these things. So we really got them involved much more often in the building and the painting process that we were doing whilst out there, and other just sort of social occasions. We had decided we would have a lot more engagement, not in trying to go into a school and teach. We didn't feel that was ever going to be the right thing to do, but to be in the schools and to interact in a positive way that would be good for it. So we had our guys go in and we'd made them bring some small physical objects rather than anything electronic, and some photographs, and we just had a session in the, I think, Standard 7 one afternoon where we talked about houses and homes and compared differences, and there was great hilarity about the fact that people in Scotland kept animals as pets. I remember that very, very vividly as a teacher myself. We obviously at the moment, originally our plan would have been to take another 3 year groups worth of our boys in 4th, 5th and 6th years to Malawi in 2022. We realised early on that the 2 guys who had really spearheaded the project the first 2 times, they're no longer involved. They've kind of stepped off into retirement from BB after years of volunteering, and it's left with 3 or 4 of us who also were part of the team, but who don't have the same amount of spare time that those guys had. So we knew we'd have to fundraise for longer. We also have realised we'd have to fundraise in a COVID world that we didn't have before, and that was going to be really a challenge. So we've already postponed 2022 to probably 23, fingers crossed. But that is really a time where I've said to the guys who've expressed an interest in going that we actually have some big questions to think about in that time. Not least, should we actually go? And not should we actually go because of COVID? Should we actually go because we raise an extremely high amount of money, which is effectively burned through in fuel for an airline and never makes it to a positive purpose, other than the fact that undoubtedly these young men come back with an experience that does for life change their attitude. And a wee plug for the People to People podcast, if you want to hear some of them, they were on episode 6 talking about the impact that it had on them. Should we go on a safari when we're there for a day? That was a debate that we've had on both trips. We want to continue to sort of listen to the voices of young people their own age whilst we're there before we go, after we come back, and try to maintain that as a more regular thing. And also we're going to look at the question of the reciprocity of these trips, because they're one way at the moment, and if we're raising a huge amount of money for us to travel there, why do we not do that so that we can give some Malawian young people the chance to come back to us and to have an equally interesting or valuable experience? So there's some quite deep questions, and now that I've kind of got my hands on the project, these are things that we want to really explore in a good amount of depth before we even think about booking a flight for 2023. I would really encourage youth groups that are not schools, and schools as well, of course, but I know that there's not a huge number of non-school groups who travel out there, but in partnership with Classrooms for Malawi, there's a lot you can do, and they have people on the ground who can make setting up a partnership really easy, and in partnership with a couple of travel companies that have got good experience as well, can make it I'll not pretend it's easy, but they can make it a lot easier than it could be trying to do something very independently. So definitely something I would encourage people to get involved in, and really get the young people involved in these big questions as you go about thinking about what you could do.
All right. Thank you so much, Fraser, for that wonderful sharing of your experiences within the partnership. We're now going to move on to Mr. Mchenga. Mr. Mchenga is going to introduce himself. Mr. Mchenga, it's your turn.
Hello. Hello, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for having me. I am Peter Mchenga, a former teacher from Njale, but now I'm working within the area where Njale School is, and I'm still involved in the Beath Malawi partnership. Just to share with you the background of Njale Beath partnership. This partnership started sometimes in 2013 when I visited Scotland, and I had a chance to meet some high-profile people, like the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. When I returned back, I moved from the school where the partnership is to Njale partnership. But as I said somewhere, the teachers whom I left there had no interest in maintaining the partnership. So Douglas Young and the other teachers from Beath asked me to take care of the partnership, or to shift the partnership to the new school where I was. So after discussing with the teachers, head teachers, community members, and the learners, they accepted that we should have this partnership. So we started partnership in 2013. From 2013, we have been exchanging a lot of things, arts things, some topics in English, and some visits which the learners or teachers from Scotland, when they came to Malawi, they had chances of teaching in class. As I said, that Malawi has big classes. In Scotland, they have small classes. So they gained the experience from teaching the large classes that Malawians have. So this has been a very big move, and the partnership has helped a lot. And the two schools where the partnership is, that is Mpanga and Njale. As I am having Stephen here, Stephen is one of the beneficiaries of the partnership, because without the partnership, he could have not completed his school. He's about to write his national examinations, that's Malawi School Revenue Certificate examinations. Others went out of secondary school last year. Some they are in Form 2 and some are in Form 1. So the gesture which the Malawians, especially learners from Njale and Mpanga, are having are of importance in the way that we are gaining, or Scotland is helping a lot in eradicating illiteracy level in Malawi, in educating Malawians. And it's our hope that through this partnership, the ones who are getting educated here, they will have a chance to improve lives of their families. They will have a chance to participate in development of the country at the national level. And even they will help the world in getting some answers to the challenges that we are having today. It's only an educated person who can give ideas and who can fully participate in the development of his or her country and the entire world. Beath has been sponsoring these two schools in terms of money. They have done some renovations at the school level, both at Mpanga and at Njale. And apart from that, they have assisted in construction of some school toilets and some teachers' houses. And the partnership from the side of Malawi, from Malawi, which is Njale and Mpanga, it has provided not in cash but in skills, because when learners from Beath comes to Malawi, they learn a lot of things and they go back to Scotland with a lot of life experience that others who are in Scotland have never experienced. The challenges that their fellow children have in Malawi, some learners in Scotland they are aware. When they talk of poverty, large classes, scarcity of classrooms, some learners who have come to Malawi know exactly what we are talking about. Now, the exchange visit, which has been done, it has only been done to the part of Beath teachers and learners coming to Malawi. Malawi hasn't yet benefited a lot apart from me who visited Scotland, but the other teachers and other learners have never visited Scotland. It is important to have this type of exchange, because when we talk of looking at a white person having money, it comes just because of a myth that our parents left with us. But if the children or teachers can have a chance to visit and look at the lifestyles that are done in Scotland, they can appreciate that. Because for Scotland to send money, or for Beath to send money to Malawi, the learners at Beath and teachers at Beath, they do have a lot of weight. They work for fundraising, a thing that we fail to do. If we can embrace the fundraising on our own, we can only just be having supplement from Beath. Now, in this time, though we are talking of COVID-19, we have a long-standing problem of climate change. As an educator, I would propose that we should take this climate change issue seriously, and we have to lobby the Ministry of Education and our governments to deliberately put issues concerning climate change in our syllabuses, so that learners understands issues of climate change from primary school level, secondary school level, and even at tertiary level. For this to be done, we need to have programs that can be done at school. For your information, in the past, Malawi had a very good project where learners in primary schools were planting trees using the bottle tops of Casbeck, the common BF for Malawi. Children were collecting these bottle tops and exchanging them with the trees at the forestry department. This thing is no longer there, and the schools are struggling to have plants to be planted to mitigate climate change. So it's only when we can introduce climate issues in the system of education that can help both Scotland and Malawi. In Scotland, you use, or our fellow partners in Scotland, they use solar or windmills to produce electricity, to produce or to pump water. These things need to be trained to Malawians. We need to have the very same facilities. We have a lot of sun here, we have a lot of wind here, but these are not much utilized. As a result, even learners, they are being involved in distracting the nature. We are also having school feeding programs in schools, but on most daily basis, learners in primary schools where there is school feeding program, you will see a learner carrying a firewood. Where does the firewood comes from? For him or her to have that firewood, he cuts or she cuts a tree and dry it for him or her to take it to school for a porridge or a sima to be cooked. So we need to help schools to have facilities that can help cooking using solar energy, as we have solar or we have sun throughout the year in Malawi. And on ethics, the partnership, Ian said somewhere that the partnership should be built on the trust. We need to trust each other, and we need to make sure that we really know that what somebody can do, another person can also do. But sometimes we always leave ideas of bringing good things or introducing good things from the partners in Scotland. We have talked a lot of COVID-19. Malawi as a country, we have learners in tertiary education who are doing medicine. We have secondary school learners, but we haven't been shared the idea or the skills of producing COVID-19 vaccine. If we have College of Medicine, it's my understanding, we have our doctors and medical people there that can also practice what is being done in Scotland, what is being done in the UK. So the sharing of idea is the way of showing trust, because if I know how to do something and I heard this thing from my friend, it means the partnership or the friendship which is there is not real. We need to be open to ourselves. We need to be open to our partners so that what we do should not be looking a strange thing to our partners. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Mchenga. I was actually just about to tell you that you're out of time, but I guess you're in time now. We're kind of a little bit lagging behind, so we'll try to be as fast as possible. The next speaker is Lauren Donald of St. Maurice's High School, Cumbernauld, which is partnered with Nkhamenya Girls School in the Central Region of Malawi. Lauren, take it away.
Hi everyone. Is it okay to share my screen? Is that okay? Let me see.
Lauren, we can also share your presentation if you prefer.
I've got it here if that's any use.
Perfect.
Can you see that okay?
Yep.
Yep, perfect. I'll keep it nice and short as well because I know we're running over a little bit. So I'm Lauren Donald and I am the leader of the St. Maurice's High School partnership with Nkhamenya Girls Secondary School. Just to give you a little background about this as well, St. Maurice's have been visiting Malawi since 2007 when they first established the partnership with Nkhamenya. Nkhamenya is a small community. It's made up of 2 primary schools, a secondary school for girls and a mission hospital as well. The groups they have increased in size over the years. First time we ever took children over to Malawi to visit our partnership, there was only 5 of them, and that has increased to about 14 to 15 pupils that we normally take over for the visit. We have around 80 volunteers though within the school, and that's ranging from S4 to S6. And usually the group are involved with lots of activities that go on within the school, whether that be with partnership activities or fundraising activities as well. One of the key things that we want to get across to our pupils from when we first start introducing Malawi to them is, what do we learn from each other? What can we teach the Malawians and what can they teach us as well? So that's a big focus even from first year onwards, and we try and get that into course content and the subjects that we teach. When I first started at St Maurice's though, it used to be like a Malawi day, where we got all subjects, had a bit of input. We had music, we had French, we had drama, we had history, all involved in this Malawi day. But we thought, why should we keep it just down to one day? It was almost seen as an add-on. So what we've tried to do throughout all of our subjects is filter it throughout the year. So for example, I was saying to the breakout group I was working with, our French department, they work with our partnership school and exchange French letters and translate them. It's a translating task that they do with each other. For example, in geography, which is my subject, I work in partnership with a geography teacher in Malawi, and we share resources about things such as climate change, which is obviously very topical just now. We also do a little bit of work on history as well. So history partnership with our history teachers over in Malawi. We teach a little bit about history of Malawi and history of Scotland as well. And we try and exchange our resources as much as possible. Our first years as well also learn a little bit about day-to-day life in Malawi as well, and we also send materials over to Malawi to teach about what our day's like as well. So our first years right through to 6th year have got this kind of filtered into their lessons as well. So we teach them a little bit about what we do when we go over, and obviously what a day is like in Malawi. We obviously share other ideas as well. Home ec is a subject that they don't really teach in Malawi. So what we normally try and do is exchange recipes as well. So we try and have a go at making some traditional Malawi dishes, and they do the same over in Malawi as well. So we've worked on that over the years as well. So usually when we arrive in Malawi, they try and make some traditional Scottish dishes for us as well. The school day as well, we like to teach them a little bit about what the school day is like there as well. When we take pupils over to Malawi, they follow the timetable of the pupils there as well. So they do get up very early for mass in the morning, and then they follow the typical school day. They even go to things such as their study circles in the afternoon as well. So they would work with our pupils. So this is some of our young people you'll see here, and they were learning a little bit about Chichewa as well, getting some lessons there, and also helping them with some of their subjects that they're learning. And it was interesting just observing some of these groups and how similar the challenges are for these young people as well, and the challenges they face with things such as exams and the same sort of pressures as well. So it was really interesting to hear some of those conversations. Obviously, it takes it out of our young people as well. They're not used to such a long working day. It is tough on them as well. So they do find the whole visit pretty tiring. We do go for 3.5 weeks to usually a month when we go. We also do a lot of work in the mission hospital as well, and learning a little bit about medical care in our small mission hospital there as well. So we do a lot of partnership work with them too. We do a lot of work around sustainability as well. We look at establishing projects that are going to be sustainable in our partnership school. We don't want to throw fundraising money at things that are not going to be sustainable in the future. So one of the projects we worked on with them in particular was establishing things like treadle pumps for example, the fish dam as well, that's something that we've looked at, the vegetable patches as well. So both our pupils and the partnership pupils have learnt a lot from that experience as well. Obviously, when we're there, we like to visit a little bit about Malawi, but we also like to visit places that really are not untouched, not really touched a lot by tourists. So our partnership school have got great links to places in Kata Bay, for example, and Kota Kota as well. And they give us a tour, and we learn a lot about some of the projects going on in the park there as well. So our pupils and the partnership pupils get a lot from this experience as well, because we usually take some of the pupils on the trip too. So far what we've established, so we've got a very strong relationship with our partnership school based on the partnership principles. We establish regular contact with them, usually use WhatsApp as a means of contact with our partnership school, or via email as well. We're hoping to set up a pen pal link via email now that our partnership school has got better access to ICT. We are at the stage now that fundraising is going really, really well. Even during COVID times, we've came up with lots of ideas for fundraising sustainable projects with our partnership school. For example, last year during COVID, we did a virtual walk to Malawi. And what we did is we set up a Just Giving page, and we were able to kind of track our progress. We updated a map every day with our progress and how we tracked our walk to Malawi. We've also done things such as the Malawi Ball, which we're hoping to host later next year. That's something we've not done for 2 years now, just because of COVID. So hopefully as of next year, that will be back up and running. That's usually attended by over 500 guests. So it is a huge night for us as well. And one of the biggest things we want to focus on this year is, let's say, for example, that is cancelled again, what other options do we have for fundraising opportunities as well? So our plan looking towards the future, we want to continue working with staff on subject-specific development. So trying to build a link to all of our subjects within the school and link them with subjects in our partnership school. Is there any way that we can work together? Obviously, I've mentioned about the Malawi Ball. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be going ahead. And thinking about other ideas for COVID-safe fundraising. Certainly, we need to start thinking about how we're going to get the ball rolling with this again this year, because it has been put to a standstill because of COVID. We've got no visit planned for next year. I was saying on the breakout group that I was working with that we've got close links to Banana Box Trust, and we've had conversations with Alan, who's on this call, about potential visits out with school, is because some of our pupils are hoping to visit Malawi during maybe when they're at college or university. So we're looking at possibly establishing some links with Banana Box Trust with that as well. And also thinking about other ideas. I'm keen to hear in the next conversation, how do we keep this strong partnership going as well? So I'm really keen to see how other people are going around this as well. Sorry I had to go through that so quickly. I was just conscious of time, and I hope I've not waffled too much.
No, you haven't actually. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There we go.
Yeah, that was actually, thank you for that, Lauren. You didn't waffle, it was pretty concise, and we could hear everything that you were saying. So thank you for that, and the nice pictures as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now we move on to another breakout session. Ruth is going to be leading on that. Ruth.
Hi again, everyone. So on this session, we're going to talk about funding and partnerships. I think most of the time it's a topic that we avoid because no one really wants to start the conversation on who should be the one to fund the partnership or who should be involved. So we are going to discuss the 3 questions on, is it necessary to have the funding aspect in partnerships? And if it's necessary, why is it necessary? And if at all it's necessary, who should be involved in the funding processes? Should it be one side at school, or both schools should be involved? And lastly, we want to discuss if funding should be a central activity in the partnership, or if are there any other activities that we can engage in the partnership, or funding should be the central point of the partnership. So like we did before, we're going to go in breakout rooms and we're going to come back and share what we discussed in the chat boxes. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I think this session was quite shorter, but quite productive, I might say, at least from the session that I was in. Quite productive and quite some good points there. Please do remember to share in the chat box. In the interest of time, I think we'll proceed to the next item on the agenda, as we're already way past the time that we planned to finish.
All right. Thank you, Ruth, for that. So the next item on our agenda is announcements, and the announcements are going to be handled by both Masp and SMP. So for the Masp announcements, I'm just going to talk about the successful youth festival that we had, and some of the competitions that are still that can still be that we can have, like some people still joining in. So firstly, I'll just talk about briefly about the youth festival. We had the youth festival, which started on the 16th of September, and it was a virtual youth festival. And so we had, on the first day, we had a talk on the Anti-Corruption Bureau and with the Anti-Corruption Bureau, and we talked about some of the how the youth can take a leading role in the fight against corruption. And also on the second day, we had a webinar which talked about the youth and climate change innovation, how the youth can use climate change innovations as a gateway to youth unemployment in Malawi, which is currently a huge issue. So we're talking about using climate change innovations, for example, the making of briquettes and biogas as a way to solve some of the unemployment issues that are prevalent in Malawi. And also, as part of the youth festival, we also had a very colorful and wonderful cultural exhibit, which will show where various Malawian dances, including Malipenga, Ingoma, and Beni. All of these can be found on our Malawi Scholar and Partnership Facebook page, so you can get to watch that. So now on the competitions, we currently are running 2 competitions. The first competition is a writing competition, which we launched on the 14th of September, and it's going to end on the 29th of October. This competition, we're basically asking young people to write an essay on COP26, and yeah, so basically, what do they know about COP26? As young people, do they feel that they're getting involved enough on COP26? So basically, it's just part of the Malawi School and Partnership awareness campaign on COP26. So this is open to both Scotland and Malawi youth. So that is the writing competition. And then we have the singing competitions. In Malawi, we are asking the students to sing the unofficial Scottish anthem. So we're currently having entries on that. And for the Scottish schools, we have a video, a very nice video of a student from Beehive Primary School singing the Malawi national anthem. So we are currently yet to receive any entries on that. So I hope some of the teachers from Scotland that I hear can also try and take up that challenge for the Scottish students. It's a very short video, just 30 seconds. I hope it's going to be in Chichewa. I hope that's not going to be a huge challenge, but yeah, so that is it on the singing competitions and the youth festival. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Nkhamenya. It's really exciting to have both held our youth festival this year. I would just quickly like to say that with SMP and Masp, we are reviewing the partnership guide as well right now. If in the next week or two you would like to have any sort of overview, input, review of that before it goes live, please do flag that to me. Do let me know. You can flag that in the chat box as a direct message or just a message to everyone just now. Please go ahead and let me know if you're interested in having an overview of that or input to it. So we have obviously gone quite over time today, but there were so many good presentations that I just couldn't stop people in the tracks. So thank you so much for all the contributions. It's been really quite fascinating. Craig, if we could put the polls up just now as well. We've just got a few questions to answer at the end of this call as well. Thank you very much for persevering with us to the end, but I hope you'll agree it's been incredibly worthwhile, especially for the discussion groups. I'll just give you a moment with those polls. Okay, so whilst you continue having a think about that, our next Youth in Schools Forum typically happens in about 6 months' time from now. Probably it might be nearer sort of January, February time for the next one. This is the second time that we have involved Masp, and really pleased that SMP and Masp have been co-facilitating this one entirely. And it's been the first time we've highlighted youth voice, and that's really quite something. And I already know that the young people from our side are keen to talk about all the topics that came up in today's meeting. So we've got lots to go through, and I'm sure that we will keep involving young people and teachers in a similar way. It's really quite a special thing to connect people live between Scotland and Malawi. It might be something we've now got used to with COVID, but I still kind of want to iterate how special that is to make that connection and be able to facilitate it cooperatively from both our offices. So I'll assume everyone's had a chance to say something in the poll. Thank you very much. All your input has been incredibly valuable. The chat box words will be circulated with all the attendees afterwards. That's not including of private messages, but any words in the chat box and any presentations will be circulated. Don't hesitate to get in contact with myself or Ruth and Nkhamenya at Masp with any sort of school support that you might be interested in or looking for in the future. We're here to help and here to make sure that partnerships thrive through this pandemic and afterwards. So thank you very much, and thank you so much to my co-presenters, Ruth and Nkhamenya, and everyone who came along tonight.